Hello, and welcome back. It's time for another unboxing. It's been ages since I've gotten anything, but this just showed up in the mail today. And I believed, from whom it came, this should be the Root expansion. So this is Root, Hirelings, and Marauders, and I can't remember what the actual name of the whole thing is. But this was packed by VR Distribution. Oh, lots of nice paper packaging. And so that's the Hirelings box there. Excellent. And this is the Marauder expansion. So there was more. There was another whole box I could have gotten, the Clockwork expansion. The second Clockwork expansion, but I decided not to get it because I got plenty with the first Clockwork expansion. So the Marauders expansion has two new factions in it, the Badgers and the Rats. And then it also introduces a lot more, what do you call them, of these new hireling factions, which are really interesting. They basically reuse all the other factions as little mini factions that you can use during the game. You can hire them, which means it makes it much easier to play a two-player game. It sort of balances out the asymmetry of the game, or that's the theory at least. So it's come in really good shape. This is a thinner box than the other ones. So the last, oh no, it's the same actually. The last one that I got was the Underworld expansion. So it's actually about the same size as that one, and about the same weight. So, having a look at that, looks pretty good. Let's just get this open so we can have a look at it. And the boxes are always the same, really nice quality, fairly thick cardboard with a nice sort of almost powdery matte finish. I mean, it's not powder, but it has a feel to it. All right, so let's open this one up. And they said this is going to be their last expansion. They always print on the inside of the box on these ones as well, which is cool. Looks like iron plates and chains. Ooh. All right, here's the updated Learning to Play, the updated Law of Root rulebook. Here are some tokens. So here's your ones for your rats, and here's ones for the badgers, and there's lots of hireling ones as well, and new victory tokens for all those guys, I guess. All right, and here's the player board for the Lord of Hundreds, which is the Rats faction, which is has like a sort of mob mechanic, and it's similar to the Eerie, the birds, in that you have to change the leaders, and it changes the way you play them. And this is the Keepers of Iron. That's the Badgers, and they collect these artifacts and transport them around to win the game. And they're limited in numbers, but they're very strong because they've actually got body armor, which is interesting. Originally, when they were designing these ones, they were thinking of making them turtles, but they ended up doing the badgers instead, which is fine. I like that. All right, and here's the components. So this is one of the hirelings. This is actually the dice for the hireling version of the Woodland Alliance. And here's all of the meeples. So there's a lot of meeples in here because you've got your two new factions. There's the rats, looking really cool, and there's the badgers. And I can't see if you can tell, but it's actually got like a silver color to it, which is actually pretty awesome. I like that. Wait, there we go. Have a look. So silvery. Why is this so hard to? It's upside down or something. I don't know. There we go. And then we've got the hirelings for the cats. So you can use these as an extra sort of mini faction in the game. And here's some rabbits and the big bear. And here's I think that's supposed to be the leader of the rats, but that might be the rat hireling as well. And then here's some new bird hirelings. I really like that they made new meeples for all the hirelings instead of just using the old meeples from the other factions. It's good, especially if you want to use that faction in a game. You can use the faction and the hirelings, and not be like having to. All right, so we've got this advanced setup cards. So it's different like rules. So that's how to set up each of those guys. That's handy. So you can sort of, for each faction, they've got these advanced setup cards. Really cool. And I think there's some new vagabonds in here as well. Oh, okay, so Faithful Retainer. When you discard this card, remove it permanently. What are these guys? That's for... What is that? I don't even know. Overview for the Badgers. These are the mood cards for the Lord of Hundreds. So these are the different types of leaders that they can have, and they change the way that you could play them. And there's the overview for them. Awesome. And these are the cards for the hirelings. Cool. I really, really like this hireling mechanic. I'm hoping it'll... because the one problem I've always had with this game is that it doesn't work super well as a two-player game. It's just very hard to keep it balanced. And I've had so many playthroughs where one faction just ends up being way overpowered or running away with the game, and it's frustrating. So the hirelings are meant to sort of allow you to give a boost to whichever faction is weaker. It also allows you to play with the minor factions in two-player games, whereas before you only had a very limited number of factions you could use in the two-player games. All right, so this is the hirelings box. Let's have a look at that. So I guess there wasn't new vagabonds. That's good. There's heaps of, that's fine. There's heaps of vagabonds already. So they're really just going all in with the hirelings. And this was the hirelings box. I'm really excited about this. So during the Kickstarter, they just came up with, not just a faction of hirelings for all the existing factions, but some completely new woodland creatures to sort of enter the game. You can see them; they're all on there. It's a beautiful little box. I quite like the way they've done that. All right, so in here we've got landmarks packs. So this is another mechanic added to the game. You can put these landmarks onto the game board, and they come with their own extra mechanics, which is cool. And as you can see, that's got an extra layer of packaging there. That's really cool. They're quite big and chunky, and you just sort of put them in there and then play around that game. All right, so here's the rule book for using hirelings. That's good to have. And then here's all the different new meeples for the new hirelings. So we've got one for each. There's the moles hirelings, and you can see they're slightly different than the ones for the main faction. Like this guy, these ones have these little keys in their hands. And there's like this giant stag, and there's some corvid ones where they're wearing some kind of weird goggles. And then this is the lizards, but they're fat. And this is like a traveling band, the fox playing the flute. And there's some rat ones. Yeah, that's right. And then hedgehogs. Maybe there's a porcupine. And here's the a riverboat for the otters. So super cool. Excellent. All right, there's a little bit of punch boards there for the. Looks like the moles and the badger hirelings. And they've always used their punch boards really well. Like they just fall right out without having to be. Sometimes the punch boards aren't perfect, and when you try to punch them out, it damages them. But those ones are. You always want them to just sort of like barely be holding on. What do we get? And each one is double-sided, so you can play, depending on the number of players in the game, you can play the hirelings as more of an active piece in the game, or as just sort of like a more minor influence. So this little box just brings in a huge amount of extra playability to an already pretty big game. And there you have it. So that is probably the last expansion for Root, the Marauders expansion and the Hirelings expansion. And I would definitely recommend checking it out, because if you've already got Root, you still need the base game for this. I think this will bring a lot to the game. And well, if you've enjoyed my video, please like and subscribe. I'll have more and more unboxings coming up as we go. And you can always check out our podcast where we do reviews of our games. It's Hot Game Magnet. You can find us on iTunes.